In my opinion, Monster Hunter World was the single best game in the entire Monster Hunter franchise. It hit a peak of around 300,000 players during the launch of Iceborne, as you can see from the Steam charts presented on the screen. Now, it was the first time they brought the Capcom franchise to a non-Nintendo device, and it saw instant success. I remember even playing it back then where there were so many people that I hadn't spoken to for a long time that were saying they were playing Monster Hunter, and it was the first time they had played Monster Hunter ever. Now, I've been playing since Monster Hunter Tri back on the Wii system. I played it on many of the 3DS systems, and even played one of them on the Switch. But Monster Hunter World was the first time where it felt like the entire game got a quick upgrade, let's say graphically, mechanically, and even in terms of the multiplayer features and functionalities of the game. All of that being said, Monster Hunter Wilds is the second time Capcom is attempting this. Monster Hunter Wilds is not only coming to the PC, but it seems like they're going to be trying a lot of new and different things to refresh and update the entire franchise. But first, we have to understand what made Palworld so great, because I want to draw parallels between the two to understand just how great Monster Hunter Wilds could actually be. Palworld has a simple yet fun gameplay loop. There are lots of different pals to capture. It has an enjoyable multiplayer experience, a large map to explore fun survival features, and the elimination of annoying gameplay foibles, such as, but not limited to, the pain of inventory management that so many games are doing nowadays, grindy fetch quests in a lot of open world experiences at the moment, constant hand-holding from whacked out and boring as hell tutorials, and the constant need for repeat items, forcing really unnecessary grindiness while trying to progress through the game. And Palworld did away with all of that.
Damn straight.
Even though Monster Hunter World is a different game in many ways, it maintains a similar environment. It has hunting and collecting items from unique and interesting creatures. I would say creatures significantly more interesting than those in Palworld. It possesses many of the same gameplay elements that made Palworld great, such as finding unique creatures, collecting their items to progress throughout the game, collecting weapons and armors over time that help you defeat the opponents in battle, and third-person intensive and engaging combat. Now, in combat in Monster Hunter is a lot more in-depth, but I would say that the fact that it's action-based and less turn-based or strategy-based is a big similarity between the two that separates them from Pokemon quite nicely, and is one of the reasons Palworld was so successful. But to understand if Monster Hunter Wilds has the recipe for success, I'll break this down into three key differences between Monster Hunter and Palworld. The survival game progression of the two, using creatures in the open world, and the capture gameplay loop, which is very important, and we'll touch on that at the end. Now, Monster Hunter World is not a survival game by design. However, it has really similar progression systems. You fight harder and harder monsters and improve your gear over time. In particular, fighting those monsters on repeat helps you improve your gear in different ways that allows you to individualize your playstyle. Now, Palworld felt quite gated with its leveling system, where upgrading weaponry in Monster Hunter is more RNG, so they're a little bit different in that way. Either way, it's a similar core progression mechanic, but Palworld has less barriers and more simplicity, allowing it a broader target audience. Now, the next key difference is that you cannot use monsters to fight other monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds.
Maybe. I don't know.
Not maybe, yes or no.
Although that being said, the trailer gives us a little bit of indication that maybe those things that you're riding around the world you can use in battle, and maybe it doesn't stop just there. Imagine having a Rathalos as an ally. Maybe you only call it down for one attack, or maybe it lets off a fireball from a distance. Either way, it would be really super cool to have it on your team. The Monster Hunter Wilds trailer shows off monster mounts in the game, and that could really enable it. I don't expect this to be a major combative component in true honesty, but it does tell us new core features are coming that will make it play more like Palworld in that regard. We especially get the feeling of open world environments in the Monster Hunter Wilds trailer, and I expect there to be a lot more open world elements in Monster Hunter Wilds, bringing it closer to the Palworld style of gameplay. It also prevents new traversal mechanics that Palworld has plenty of, such as riding on the the ground, grapple hooks, and flying on mounts, bringing it more in line in that way as well. Thirdly, the combat has some similarities. The capture loop couldn't be more different. In Palworld, you shoot simple weapons and dodge simple attacks to avoid death. In Monster Hunter, the battles last longer, you have more choice for weapons, and it's significantly more difficult overall for obvious reasons. Upgrading equipment also doesn't aid much if you lack improvement in your own skill at the game. Whereas in Palworld, if you get a weapon strong enough or a pal strong enough, they can essentially take out your opponent for you without you really needing to improve at your combat skills. This major difference makes the target market for Monster Hunter way less broad than Palworld. Although it might not see the same level of success, it seems to be trending towards inclusivity in different gamer archetypes over time. Thankfully for Monster Hunter, I think that is a good direction for the series, while also maintaining a strong level of skill ceiling and skill depth in the game. In the future, there may be a Monster Hunter title that enables you to use monsters in combat and capture the smaller monsters with nets or other tools. It would be really super cool to capture some of these smaller monsters and use them as bait to bait large monsters into traps.
Why would you do that?
This sort of use of ecology in the game would be a really big step up for Monster Hunter. On that note, Monster Hunter, given its depth, is more engaging in a multiplayer setting. Given the teamwork you and your allies have is a lot more impactful in the game. From what I saw, multiplayer was a big part of people's enjoyment in Palworld, and if Wilds doubles down on this, it could really help it gain some virality and blow up all over Steam, Twitter, Asmongold channel, whatever it might be. Palworld gave people an appetite for creature collector game, and Monster Hunter Wilds has some serious potential to satiate that hunter. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe down below if you like these sorts of videos, if you learned something new, and leave a comment down below if you think Monster Hunter Wilds is not going to live up to my expectations.